what turns over the society into actually being that, because people begin to think those thoughts and act from that space. And that's where our practice and our awareness is very important in this time, to not get hijacked, like Reverend Michael says,
Hmm.
and to take our mind back and realize I am free. I can use my voice. I do have service that is of value. There is a community that I can connect with. There are people that I can trust, like really counteracting what is attempting to be sown.
Welcome to Healing Conversations podcast.
Okay.
Yes, hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Healing Conversations podcast.
Yes, as a podcast.
As you know, this is our safe space where we talk all things expansion growth, and we support ourselves in the conversation of whatever we're experiencing currently, or even current events that are happening in the world, and how are we navigating through it? How is it impacting or even affecting us in some way? And we bring it to the space, we talk about it, we feel the feels, we let them go. And that's how we're able to heal through conversation. And as we do that individually, we send that ripple out and it affects the collective on their journeys.
Yes, and we appreciate you joining us wherever, whenever you happen to be listening to this, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Get into the comments, send us a DM, let us know how this conversation is impacting you, how these tips and these tools, we're a few episodes in now. What are you getting from this podcast? We want to know. Message us, email us, DM us, let us in on your healing journey. And I want to preface this conversation by saying that we are going to be speaking to some events that are current. However, the general theme of today is really about honoring and processing and not bypassing whatever the challenging circumstance may be, whatever the situations may be going on, the unsettling, the unrest. This conversation is still relevant because these are going to be practices and insights that we have come across and built upon over years of our own journeys and what people have shared from their experience as well. So, um, this conversation is relevant, whatever happens to be going on uh, with everything, and regardless of what we're talking about specifically is not happening anymore. So, yeah.
Yes, and as we always say, we are no experts. We are sharing our tools and things that we've gathered along our journey, but we are your brother, your sister, your friends on this journey, growing and expanding together. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to talk about, like Sister Angelique says, some current relevant things. And right now, there's a lot happening, and it's like, which one do you bring into the conversation? Well, I would say what we are currently experiencing. Sister Angelique and I are both located in Los Angeles, California, and at the time of shooting this, there's currently just some things going on with immigration, ICE, administration, and just all the things that are of controversy. And there's a lot that's happening in regards to, I would say, misinformation, because often what we see on the media and social media, it appears to be more exaggerated than what it is. And there's a narrative that often plays out that isn't what it actually is.
Mhm.
And I know for me, being in LA and seeing things on social media, I'm like, well, where is that happening? What is happening? Like, because they're not to negate and say that it's not happening. In the sense, there are protests, there are riots, there are things that are happening, but it's only in certain parts. I would say actually two parts of LA, two federal buildings that are the detention centers that they're holding the immigrants that they are kidnapping off the streets. That's where people are protesting. That's where there are gatherings that are happening. But the way that it's being displayed on in the media is still it's like all of LA is burning up. Everything is in a chaos and an erupt.
Mhm.
And being in it and seeing how it's being perceived, it is triggering because I see how there's a narrative that is needing to be played, meaning let me create a problem that isn't there. Let me get a reaction because I know that the way in which we're creating the problem is going to trigger and activate that within others. And now let's act like we're creating a solution to save the day and act like we are the ones who are the saviors. And for me, seeing it being played out in real life time, it is triggering. It is
Yeah.
activating this like frustration, irritation, aggravation. Because I'm like, what is happening? Like, we see it, and there's no way to hide behind what is actually being done. And I've had to have moments where I disconnect from what I'm tuning into so I can reconnect to the inner knowing that everything is okay, all is well, and things are happening in a way that I don't understand. But when I trust, I know that it's happening for the greater good for all. And when I say that, a lot of times we hear that and we're like, but you don't see what's happening. You don't see the mistreatment, abuse, and just injustice that's happening to the people. And the thing is, I do see that. So I
Mm.
like to say I've been describing how I've been feeling. It's like I'm living in two worlds because I'm in this world and seeing all the chaos, all the commotion, all the injustice, but then I'm being not of the world, meaning now how do I remember who I am? How do I remember what is in everyone and everything? How am I able to not get lost in the them, the they, but resort it back to me and say, okay, Ramel, when you see this thing, how are you feeling? You're feeling
Mhm.
anger, you're feeling sad, you're feeling weak, you're feeling like the victim, like honoring and acknowledging that feeling so I can see like, okay, what you're doing is showing me still a place in my life where I feel like I don't hold power, where I feel like I'm being mistreated or abused, that I feel unsafe, and allowing myself to feel released. So the stories that are circulating in my mind don't keep me bombarded. And now I'm feeling lost because now I need to tune in because think of the algorithm of like when we see something on social media and you watch something for not even 15 seconds and now you're seeing your whole algorithm or timeline is that thing. Well, that's
Mm.
how it is with the thoughts. The moment I'm now tuning into this thing, now my mind is going there in analogies and stories. Now physically I'm seeing it on my timeline and now I'm feeling lost. So that's where I've been having to disengage, reconnect, honor and feel, and coming back to what is real. That none of these things and people and circumstances hold power unless
Mm.
I give them that power. And I said something last night in my inner circle group that we hear that word dictatorship, and often we think it's someone who holds a title and controls all the people and things. But what really came through to me last night was a dictatorship is when someone dictates the thoughts that you think, the feelings that you feel. That's how they control your life because it all starts from within and then you see it without. And I'll end it there.
Wow, wow, wow. The dictating your thoughts. I had to write that one down right
Mhm.
now. Ooh wee. Ooh wee. That's a
Mhm.
whole other podcast right now. That's a whole other podcast. Wow. And that's so powerful because any sort of societal structure is based on people believing in it. All the medical system, the money system, the school system, the government system, food distribution system, it's all based on people giving their thoughts and beliefs into it, which moves us into action on it, which sustains it. And the fact that, like he said, in the media and online, they keep feeding these words and these images, it is putting these thoughts into people's minds that this is the way that life is,
Mm,
and you should navigate from this space because this is how things are. Quote, I'm making quotes if you're just listening.
mhm,
And that is what turns over the society into actually being that, because people begin to think those thoughts and act from that space. And that's where our practice and our awareness is very important in this time, to not get hijacked, like Reverend Michael says,
mhm,
and to take our mind back and realize I am free. I can use my voice. I do have service that is of value. There is a community that I can connect with. There are people that I can trust, like really counteracting what is attempting to be sown, right? Yeah. Who is dictating your thoughts? I'm gonna bring that one back up for the tips because that's powerful,
mhm.
Raybell. That is powerful. Ooh, so much. So much is coming up for me. Um, Something else you said earlier about the emotional responses that we have when we see the videos where the protesters are getting tear gassed and shot at with rubber bullets. Cars are on fire and people are getting thrown onto the curb. Um, I'm someone who I don't even tap into that type of news, or I don't look at footage. I might read some things, but I'm not really into the visual aspect of that, because that provides a little more information and often people are skewing it. So I prefer to read or just listen. Um, but we're seeing these things, and it's important to recognize how it is impacting our emotions. And not only that, you were saying how you allow yourself to really feel what's passing through you. You honor that. You see, oh, um, these people over here getting whatever is happening on the video or the picture or on social media. I'm feeling defensive. I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling sad. And really allowing yourself to digest that, especially in this era of time where we are being bombarded and overwhelmed,
Mhm.
overstimulated with these things. And it can push us into numbing or dismissing what we're seeing. It can move us into neglecting our ability to connect with other people, through empathy and sympathy and compassion. However, when we allow ourselves to feel our feelings, whatever is coming up for us in the situation, and honor them, address them, and let them pass, it lets us know that we are informed, and also that we are not going to be consumed by
Mhm.
what's happening. It's so powerful for me knowing that I am not my emotions and that I'm
Mhm.
not my thoughts, especially as someone who has dealt with depression and suicidal ideology, and even like a bit of manicness with my depression, because there were times where I would get into these depression states for like a couple of weeks, and then the next day or like a couple of days later, I would just be like full of energy, you know. And it was a really unbalanced season in my life, and I didn't recognize what was going on. And so I unofficially self-diagnosed myself bipolar in order to understand, like, okay, I'm aware that I'm going through these cycles. But once I was able to use that word bipolar to address it and embrace myself and make myself aware and honor that that was my experience, I was then able to put in place practices of mindfulness and meditation and being present so that I could say, okay, how am I, again, Ramel, how am I feeling right now?
Mm-hmm.
I just had an exchange um, that didn't feel very aligned or uplifting. How am I feeling right now? Because in that past season, something like that would happen. I would ignore it. And then a week or two later, I'm numbed out, blacked out, depressed, hollow, empty, and wondering what happened. But once again, I became aware and I started catching these moments, and I was like, oh, that actually hurt me. Ouch. And I'm going to honor that and acknowledge that. And I saw as I did it more closely to when the actual experience happened, that I wasn't then later getting the residual depression from that experience because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't being suppressed within me. So I'll kind of just open that there. Uh, because yeah, there's just so much. This is such a rich conversation, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we could both continue um, just sharing because, like we mentioned in the beginning, the idea of navigating challenges is an eternal human experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as long as human beings, consciousness exists, challenges will exist, and they'll be in various degrees. And hopefully, in the future times, they'll be a little more lighthearted. But whatever you do, being present to your emotions and your feelings is an essential to navigating whatever it is. And I'll pass it on that.
I love that. And what's really coming through for me to bring awareness to our community is think about an infant, like a baby, a toddler. Like as a like infant and just in that state and stage, they cry. They're like they're
Hysterical.
hysterical and just like crying, and then they're laughing, and then they're smiling, and then they're silent. But that's the thing is that is our natural just
Yeah.
way. We know when we come into this world, I'm angry, I'm gonna express it. I'm I'm feeling good, I'm gonna express it. I'm feeling sad, I'm gonna express it, and then it doesn't last. So that's our natural thing is honoring and feeling. But
Mm-hmm.
we, when we were a toddler, and just say like, Ev, you were crying, and you had a parent or a caretaker that said, "Don't cry, stop." And that moment you go, you've now began suppressing.
Mm-hmm.
You've now stopped expressing. So now, as a baby, as a toddler, you start to feel unsafe to do that, which means that now you don't have the mental capacity in the infant state to even know. But as you start to get into your one, two, three, four, five, you start to now, your mental, your mind, in a sense, is now a sponge. So now that's where the programming is coming. And that's where the story of it's unsafe to feel. I'm unsafe to express. And that accumulates and it becomes all of this suppression, repression, lack of expression, which creates depression of emotions. And now throughout your life, you're just reacting to things and people and situations. So when there are challenging times, and I even want to speak to that real quick, nothing in life means anything until we put meaning because everything just is. It just is energy. And often when we're experiencing what we call challenging times, I invite you to ask the question to yourself, is this really challenging? Or am I putting a old program, an old meaning to a new present moment, wondering if I'm going to experience a new thing? And the answer is no. just so you know, because what the meaning you put is the outcome you'll get. So I just wanted to speak to that real quick. But when we're in those challenging times, that's where there's the expansion in the sense like that is our mover, that is our shaker, that is the stretcher because it stretches us to see like, wait, I have the ability to move through. I have the capability to overcome. But we can't even see that when we're still holding on to what we haven't expressed in our childhood. So that's why when you hear us say doing the work, gaining the tools, staying in the practices, it's like draining the pipe. That's been just boom, it's been accumulated with so many things that we have to like let it out little by little. And that's why you always hear Sister Angelique and I speak to just piece by piece, moment by moment, step by step, because there's a lot that has been accumulated. So if you find that you're reactive, if you find that you're irritated and you want to like cut somebody out and let somebody know about themselves, I would invite you to honor that part of you too. Because
Mm,
often we think that we are only good when I am in the loving, caring, compassionate energy and space, but that is a part of us. But there is that part of us that has that reaction at times. We're just like, it's like if I burped, I couldn't hold it. I'm sorry, but am I gonna judge myself from burping? No, it needed to come out. And unfortunately, it came out and I couldn't control it. But that's where in the practice, you get into the rhythm of letting it go, which we're talking about honoring the feeling in the moment, releasing it. So now you're not building up and just exploding on others. So there's so much that we can go into. And I feel like we definitely will probably have a part two of this podcast because there's so much we can
mhm,
unpack. But just where I'll land it is it's okay to not only feel how you feel, but to react or respond in the moment because it's just the moment. It doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define your growth or progress on your healing journey. It's just it happened and let
mhm.
it go, let it be, and allow a new thing to happen without judging or holding on to it. And I'll end it there.
Yes. Something I've heard in the last year or two was someone say that we all reserve the right to be initially shocked. We live in a a world that we are experiencing, co-creating with billions of other human beings and an unnumerable amount of other life forms.
Mhm.
And we have chosen to be in this container of a human being. We are infinite power. We are of the one source and mind of God, and all of the knowledge is available to us. However, that those are things that we need to draw out. And in our temporary human experience, we can only draw out so much. We're only
Mhm.
gonna know so much in this form. So being open to that kind of inherent physical limitation of being a human being, just understanding there's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of things that are outside of our manual control. That's why it's so important to me that I have the awareness and I maintain my practice of my internal power. And
Mhm.
again, that I have the agency and the authority over my emotions and my thoughts, because that is how my experience of the world and our co-creation um, happens. Like Ramel said, nothing really has a meaning until we put meaning on it. And just to kind of roll into our tips, I feel like that's a really good tip to take into this week. If something comes up as a challenge, write it down and then really look at it and say, is this a challenge or is this an old thought that I'm putting on a current situation? I think that's a really important thing to practice, especially as we're talking about challenges and things happening in society, um, they often create opportunities for new things to be birthed and to come forward. Like the phoenix, the things burn and then we come back to life. So see what it is that you're considering a challenge, and then ask yourself, am I really seeing what this is, or am I putting this old idea of challenge onto it? What's,
Mm.
what's your tip, Brother Raymael?
And mine's just kind of like, I guess, connected to that because what I was gonna leave as a tip is ask empowering questions. What
Mm,
good am I not seeing in this moment of what I'm calling a challenge? Where am I being called to grow or be of service or show love or support? Because there's always things that are accessible, and there's literally every solution to anything you call as far as a problem or a lack of clarity. It's right there. So it's like asking those questions and being open allows you to see it. So ask some empowering questions, and that's how you're able to shift the lens in which you are experiencing something, and you're able to see, wait, no, I hold the power. I have the choice. I have the will and the ability to change this thing, not a person, not a physical thing, but how I'm seeing it, which means the person will naturally dissipate or fall away. The thing will naturally leave you because it's no longer a vibrational match to you.
yes. Listen, whole nother podcast. And I guess one that I think is relevant always is that checking in and just seeing how you're feeling right now. Just throughout the week as different situations take place, whether we call them positive or negative. Anything can remove you from your awareness of just being present, including enthusiasm and excitement. So just see how you're feeling throughout the week. Just check in with yourself at least once a day, and say, how am I feeling right now? And just honor whatever it is and allow it to pass and continue on your day. So, yeah, the three tips that we have for y'all this week are to write out a challenge that you may be experiencing, and then just take a moment to look at it and ask yourself, is this actually a challenge, or am I putting an old perspective on this? And to add to that, the second tip is ask an empowering question. What solution can I offer here? How is this going to support me with my growth? Where is my growing edge in this situation? What opportunities are making themselves available? Empower yourself. See
Hmm.
the unlimited, infinite possibilities with those questions. And then the third one is to just stop and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now throughout the week? At least once a day. And if you'd like to write that down, or if you would like to share that with us via email or DM or Instagram comment, whatever, please do. This is a dialogue. This is a community conversation.
Hmm.
Wherever you happen to be listening to this, we love hearing from y'all. And we love that this is a community conversation and that we can grow and heal together. Brother Raymond,
Yes, and I would also just a little bonus to the tips.
okay.
Find a safe space that you can express articulate the thoughts and the feelings. Because a lot of
Mm,
times, even when you're in the beginning phase of this journey of healing, or you may even be in it for a while, having that space to speak about it, what you're feeling about what may be happening in the world, in your life, or just in general, having that space that you can just express it with not feeling judged, not feeling like you have to feel ashamed. They're going to have someone try to change your words
mm.
and you can just express openly and freely, I would invite you to find that. And if you need support with that, reach out to maybe local communities or just find that because it's there.
Mhm.
But I would just invite you to don't hold it in, because what may be trying to pass through you, it needs to come out. So I just wanted to leave that. And also, you already know, catch us on Saturdays, Healing Conversation Live, Instagram, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch me on Raymel Bentley or VZ Spaces on
Mhm.
Instagram. And that's where you can catch us live in person. You can really engage in real time in the comments, come onto the virtual stage and connect and expand this healing conversation, because it's supported me so much. It continues to support me. And even speaking
Yes.
about what we spoke about today, like, this is the safe space
Mhm.
that I was able to express that. And thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. And thank you all for your love and support. It truly means the
Mhm.
world to me.
Me too. It means the world to us. Me too.
Us, us. I was just in that heartfelt, like, I just love.
Yes, speak from your heart. His heart is speaking my truth too. We really do appreciate y'all. And always just tap in, let us know what you're doing, how you're feeling, and how this conversation is supporting you. And we'll see you next week.
We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.